Slim Shady Canes, appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the contribution as well. At some point, people around this program need to realize the constant coaching turnover is the problem. 6 head coaches in 18 years, 5 offensive coordinators in 6 years, 4 DCs in 5 years.
Do you want to try to be better or not? You know what I mean? Like, so let's go back to your very point. Which of the 6 coaches in the last 18 years who is no longer the head coach here should have continued in their position at the time that they either stepped down in Mark Richt's case or fired in anybody else's case? I respectfully submit 0. How many of the offensive coordinators? Rhett Lashley, who left for a promotion. Fine. So the other 4 offensive coordinators, which one of those should have still been in role, been not fired? I respectfully submit none. Defensive coordinators, who should still be in role? Even if you want to keep Manny Diaz on the list because he left for a promotion and then came back for a lateral, well, it was a similar promotion, but a promotion on top of the promotion to be the head coach, right? So he didn't get fired. He left for, like Rhett Lashley, he did not get fired. He left for a head coaching job and then left that head coaching job for the better head coaching job in Miami. But of the other defensive coordinators, which one should have, by demonstrated performance, maintained in their role? I respectfully submit 0. So, like, this is fun with numbers to me, right? Like, yes, we can say in this, and again, thank you for the super chat. This is a great question and great point to talk about. But on surface level, you can say, well, yeah, there's been so much turnover. 6 guys at this job, 5 guys at this job, 4 guys in those jobs. Fine, cool. Who should not have been let go? Remove all the coaches, fine. So Rhett Lashley left of his own volition for a promotion. Manny Diaz left of his own volition for a promotion. Outside of that, which one of those coaches should have remained in role? Not a single one. And you would have been mad, Shady Slim Canes or Slim Shady Canes, if we would have kept Al Gold. I mean, like, look, we all knew that 58-0 day, that was, I mean, I was in the press box literally counting people in each section in the lower bowl that I could see, because like the press box is right over 2 sections, so you can't see those fully. But literally, I was counting people in the sections. It took nearly an hour and 10 minutes for Al Golden to come into the interview room after. He knew that was, should he have stayed? Randy Shannon, should he have stayed? You know what I mean? Like, should he have not been fired? Do you believe that? I don't. And again, which offensive coordinator? Maybe outside of Rhett Lashley, and which defensive coordinator outside of Manny Diaz? I can't think of one. Maybe, possibly one on the offensive side. But this is not, the job has not been done. And at some point, and again, your final hashtag there, the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing or doing something the same way and expecting different results. So then if you're saying that by changing people, that is the sameness that we're doing, we continually change people, then do you want the same person who was not doing the job to stay in the same job, to not do the same job? If it was Mark D'Onofrio, did you want him to be the one who remained? To do the same job the same way? Kevin Steele, everybody talking about we gave up 40-plus points at home 4 times this year, which is a record. Talk about all these explosive plays we gave up, that was a record. And even though he's a 40-something year veteran of coaching, you wanted him to stay in the role to do the same job and are expecting magically that it's going to be different? You know what I mean? Like, I get where you're coming from. And I'm just me, so I'm passionate and I'm loud, right? You watch the show, you know this. But I don't think that there's been moves that have been made as change for change's sake. For each and every one of those coaches that's been let go, absent Rhett Lashley, absent Manny Diaz, that you've listed, there's demonstrated failings in job performance. So then it's the flip side, just like I'm talking about with this current year's coaching staff. If you don't shit can these guys, then it's y'all don't care. And you're just going to bring in this guy to continue to have this subpar job. And we're going to pay him hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to be deficient at his job performance and are expecting difference. Hashtag definition of insanity. But then now we've tried and it has not worked. And I think that's the nature of your discontent. But it has not been just change for change's sake. We've endeavored to do differently, to try to find the success that has eluded us, right? And I think that that's where the issue is. Now, there have been teams, the one team, hold on. The one team recently that has fired a coach trying to get from 9-3, 10-2 to the top of the mountain, and it worked, is Georgia. The one.
I'll throw one else out there, but it was not sustained success, and that would be LSU, Les Miles to Ed Ogeron. But they caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, they caught lightning in a bottle 1 year.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yes, absolutely. The example that you give is the example. Absolutely.
Right. But yes. Georgia is the team who looked at Mark Richt and said, not like a top 5 to 8 recruiting class and 9 to 10 wins a year. It's not good enough. And you're going to go and we're going to bring somebody in who's going to elevate all of that all the way to the top. And we're finally going to win a first championship in 40 something years. You know, all those kind of things. Right? Other teams that have tried that failed. Texas got rid of Mac Brown. Saw how that went. Right? Nebraska. Well, I mean, whatever. They were, but even Nebraska with Bo Pelini was 9-3.
Yes.
Pretty consistently.
Very consistently. Just looked
like
at that
almost
the other day.
Every year. Like set it and forget it.
Never won less than 9 games.
Right. Got rid of him. Trying to elevate. You see what's happened to them. Michigan, the team of my youth, got rid of Lloyd Carr because 9-3, 10-2 was not good enough. Losing to Appalachian State at home in the Big House was not good enough, and it was not. And then what happened? Rich Rodriguez. What's his name? Brady Hoke. Michigan man. Played at Michigan and everything. They had multiple coaches. And now they're finally getting to where, okay, cool. If this had been the progression from Lloyd Carr in 2005, great. Took them 17 years to get there. Right? But they endeavored to try to do that. But the only team that's worked for is Georgia. And I say that to say that, like, even if you get to a solid place, you're not always going to hit a home run. More often than not, you're going to strike out. You know what I mean? And for Miami, the effort has been there to try to get better, to try to improve the performance. Whether you want to talk about it being underfunded, whether you want to talk about trying to, do it on a shoestring budget before, but at least they're not saying, you know what, Larry Coker, we're going to give him another 4 years. He won us the championship in 2001. We had a couple, 10-win seasons, 9-win seasons. Recruiting is still kind of okay, coming into the 06, 07 years. We're going to give him to 2010 or 11 to see if he can turn this thing around. That would have been the definition of insanity. You know what I mean? Like Michigan continuing with Rich Rodriguez, who was not of that ilk. And from the moment he got that job and he said, we're going to give the number 1 jersey to whoever, the sainted number 1 jersey that goes to the number 1 wide receiver at the University of Michigan. Like, I didn't even play football growing up. And I was like, dog, I want to be number 1 at Michigan because you knew wearing that number 1 jersey meant something. And he came in and one of his first acts is like, oh, it's just a number. It's not just a number. And maybe I'm biased because my uncle went to the University of Michigan and everything. And I went with my father, God rest his soul, to those games growing up and everything. I played basketball tournaments out there. I played baseball tournaments out there. I did all kinds of stuff in Ann Arbor, right? But it's not just a number. It's part of the fabric of who we are. And imagine that somebody would come to Miami and say, okay, cool. Well, we're just going to run onto the field. We don't need that smoke shit. What? Huh? Who? That's from the dirt. That's who we are. That's what we do. And he just dismissed something like that. But if they would have stayed with Rich Rodriguez with how things were going, now, yeah, they got Shoelace from Deerfield Beach. Not one of my students, but he was a student at at Deerfield Beach when I taught there. Cool, yeah, and you had that first long touchdown. They had and record setting and everything. With all those losses, that would have been the definition of insanity. But at some point, you have to say, even if this does not engender the success and the improvement of performance that I want to see, sticking with what I got ain't it. So I got to try to go in a different direction, because this direction, I'm running into a wall, or I'm down here at this dead end street, and I can keep going. Well, I can't keep going because I'm already here at this dead end. So I'm going to try to change course. I'm going to try to do something different. So, USC even tried to pivot to different coaches, and it didn't work multiple times. And now they finally seem to have gotten somebody to go along that way. So I say all of that soliloquy to say, I believe that your discontent is with the fact that the product has not changed, more than the fact of Miami changing their coaches, because I think that you would be equally or more displeased if Miami did not make these changes to try to find success and fail, as opposed to just leaving those same dudes in failing positions, not doing their jobs, to stay in those positions to fail and not do their jobs under this, the mantle of continuity for continuity's sake. I don't think that would be a thing that you would enjoy either.
Basically, what Slim Shady Keynes is presenting here is almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it's almost proven by, it's almost the question and answer, or the conclusion of the statement is almost reverse engineering to a certain extent, in that we could go to the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, college football, and if we laid out the record of stability at any organization, well, the most stable organizations would be the winning organizations, and the ones, if we lined up all the head coaching tenures and all of that, because obviously you don't fire people who are succeeding, but you do fire people that are not succeeding.
Or you do in the case of the Detroit Lions, and you fire the most productive winning head coach of recent memory in Jim Caldwell, and we're 3 coaches and a decade down the line before we get Dan Campbell, who had, one game over 500 this year, and 9. But it's taken that long to finally get somebody of seeming capability. But you had a winning. We went to the playoffs. Now we lost. We say that's not good enough, and then boom, all of a sudden now you're back drafting in the top 3. You know what I mean? Immediate one-year success is the exception, and yes, I know the exceptions, but outside of 0-12 or a major off-field incident, nobody should be fired year one. Completely disagree. Sometimes there ain't a fit. Sometimes the job just is not good enough. And when I was a teacher, at least back when I started in 2004, up until, Lord Jesus, I don't even remember. I don't even know if they got rid of this provision. But in Broward County, Florida, there was a rule of 96 days where you had to teach for the first 96 days of your contract of full instructional days. Once you made it to day 97 of full instructional days, that's no half days, that's no teacher planning days, days in front of students. Once you made it to day 97, then you were good, and they would have to go through a full process to terminate you. If they wanted to terminate you for any reason up through the end of your first 96 days, they could fire you for cause or no cause. Mark, you know what? I really don't like that quarter zip. Please pack your stuff and go. You know what I mean? That's just, and I worked, unfortunately, with some teachers who the theory of teaching was fine. Classroom management, content management, we're going through all the but when they got live in front of 16 to 18-year-old students at Deerfield Beach High School, theory and reality did not mix. And so during those first 90, I remember, because look, it was like You remember the original Major League when they come in from practice and
yeah.
they are refusing to open the lockers because there might be a red tag in there? That's how I felt every day for the first 96 days because you never knew. Somebody keys into your room and that's administration. Am I getting fired today? Am I getting fired today? Am I getting fired today? And unfortunately, for some of those teachers, they did get fired that day. And they were not good enough at their job. And they went on to, hopefully, actually for a couple of them that I'm still friends with, they went on to other endeavors that were very, very fruitful for them. But no, it was not just, okay, we're going to stick with this and da-da-da, and like they have no classroom management and they're cursing at the kids and the kids aren't learning anything and their formative assessments are coming back and they're not doing their data disaggregation and administration has to come in there and then I'm getting a fight for this and a fight for that and somebody hit somebody with a book and now we got to call the paramedics and da-da-da, and we're not going to let that person ride because they're not doing the job in all of the ways that it needs to be done. So we got to let them go. Same thing in football, bro. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. Was Josh Gaddis's job performance good enough? No. Full stop. You want to talk in terms of recruiting? You want to talk in terms of offensive production? Right? You want to talk in terms of the fact that they came out and they said after the bye week that they had to have a specific meeting with Tyler Van Dyke and Josh Gaddis during the bye week where Josh Gaddis had to ask the star quarterback, what do you like to do and what do you do well so I can fold that into what I'm doing? You didn't know that already, bro? I can tell you that Tyler Van Dyke throws smash routes the best of it, high-low read. Look, he does that the best out of anything, that and throwing the ball deep. If I know the two things that he's best at, how do you, who work in football, not know that? You think that job performance was good enough? Because it wasn't. Frank Ponce, a little bit of a situation of circumstance. Look, we're going to bring in a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, which means that you as quarterback coach don't got a zish anymore. I would seek shelter elsewhere. Bang, I'm going back there. Kevin Smith, like I said, some people love him, other people hate him, but he went back with his good buddy Lane Kiffin. So even if we wanted him to stay, he said, nah, I'm gone. Right? Kevin Steele left to go back with his good friend Nick Saban for the third time. We didn't interview Charlie Strong, so he's up in his feelings and he wants to leave, and we get somebody else. Like, there's been few times that it's been a year one firing. But I respectfully submit that the times that it have been warranted.